How are you all post-lunch? Good? Hi, Steve. I'm good, I'm good. Well, I'm so far away from my friends. Hi, friends. But let me introduce them. I talk about a powerhouse pair that I get to kind of prod and poke and ask questions to today. Julie Smolyansky is the CEO of Lifeway Foods. She and herself has an incredible background of going from a social services human being to then becoming one of the youngest CEOs of a publicly traded company that is now worth almost $60 to $80 million more than the day she took it over. So she's an amazing woman. Let me also introduce Ingrid Vanderveldt, who is the entrepreneur in residence at Dell. Her history evolves around creating green energy companies. She has bought and sold multiple groups, and then she's also done angel investing. And the thing that's most important to me about these two women is that they are now members of the United Nations Foundation's Global Entrepreneurs Council. So thank you for being with us today. So the topic today is, can technology save women? So I think it's a pretty interesting topic, and we can talk about it from a global perspective, a local perspective, and a home perspective. Quite some controversial things have come out this year between, can women have it all? An article in The Atlantic, all the way to Marissa Mayer's decision just a couple weeks ago to ban working from home. So let me start with you, Ingrid. Just tell me a little bit about, one, globally, can tech save women, or do we not need saving?
Well, I think everybody needs saving at some level, at some point or another, but so my perspective on the whole thing is that actually if we're going to build a global sustainable future, it's going to happen through a new set of eyes, and that's the eyes of women. And when I think about what my mission is and why I'm so happy to be part of the UN Foundation Global Entrepreneurship Council and also the work that I get to do at Dell, it's because it's my goal is to empower 1 billion women by 2020. And when you think about how does one person empower 1 billion women, or what role do I play in that, and we really have to look at how do we get tools, technology, and resources into the hands of women around the world to give them access to the tools, technology, and resources that they need to see themselves as leaders and as successful entrepreneurs. And at the end of the day, really the only way to do that is through technology. So we think about things from the perspective of how do we get a mobile device into the hands of every woman out there? How do we get her access to the internet, to be able to tap into a global network of resources? Because again, at the end of the day, technology is this great equalizer. It's now affordable, and it's also mobile. And those three things combined make it possible to get technology into the most remote places of the world, reaching out to women across the world, and helping women of all types really excel and succeed in their own lives and professional careers.
So Julie, I think you sit in a very unique seat as running a very large company. You yourself are from Russia, so you're looking at multiple countries within your business and within your own family's background. And then you're also a mom. So you've got a lot of different lenses on this issue. And I'd love to hear first from a global perspective how you think either is a positive or negative effect on women.
So yeah, I definitely believe that there's a global opportunity to empower women using technology. Sort of a lot of things came together for me personally to basically decide that I wanted to tackle violence against women as being a female leader with some influence, to be able to say that the current treatment of women within violent situations is not okay. It's actually outrageous. It's an atrocity. I had the privilege of going to Bangladesh with Christy Turlington and Every Mother Counts, and we saw several different NGOs, and I saw in a third world country the treatment of women who had undergone acid attack or different violent situations, and there was no accountability. There was no prosecution of the perpetrators, even though on the books there's laws against it. And then I realized at home in America, we kind of have the same situation going on. Human Rights Watch just discovered that there's 400,000 untested rape kits in the country. This is an atrocity. This is the #1 atrocity that they discovered for women in America. And I think it's through all the technology that Ingrid talked about that we could actually have a voice now. We've been empowered to say this isn't okay, and that we need to look for solutions to put perpetrators behind bars. Today, there's less than 3% will ever go to jail, will ever spend a day in jail. And this is important because in America, every 2 minutes, a woman is raped. By the time our panel is done, 10 women will be raped. And less than 52% are ever reported. So the ones that go and report get evidence collected. It's put into a box. The police take it, and that's it. For 30 years, that's been the procedure, and they never get processed or analyzed. So we've highlighted a number of different initiatives that can, really speed the process up and kind of create accountability on the issue. And so that's...
And tell me, tomorrow you're launching something very specific.
Correct.
Touch on that for a second.
So tomorrow we are announcing the launch of Test 400K. The idea is that we will advocate and look for innovations in technology to speed up the processing of these kits. So, when we order our Spanx on Amazon.com, from the moment we press purchase till the moment it gets to our house, we can track it. We know where it is. We know when it's going to come to our house.
Thank God, by the way.
Right. Thank God. All that technology, saving women. And so we need to have that similar kind of technology on these kits. So whether it's an RFID or some kind of scan system that when a kit gets taken, that beyond the police, other law enforcement agencies, prosecutors, whatever, know that a kit was taken, you can follow it, you can track it. That's one thing. The other thing that we want to push for is rapid and portable DNA analyzers, so that the evidence can be processed and analyzed on site at the hospital and speed up investigations.
So I want to flip this topic on its head. So you're talking about an amazing technology that's actually not being utilized, right? So Ingrid, one of the things that you stand for is the Dell Women's Entrepreneur Network, which I think is just an incredible institution that Dell supports with bringing young women entrepreneurs to their business peak. What do you think through that network that you've learned are technologies that are out there that are underutilized by women that could actually give them a better business, a better life, whatever that is?
Well, thank you for asking for that, because again, I'm so blessed to have the opportunity to be a lifelong entrepreneur. And if somebody told me 4 years ago I'd be sitting inside a Fortune 50 doing what I'm doing at Dell, I would have said, absolutely not. I've had them as clients, but I've never been on the inside. And the reason that I so wanted to work with Dell, and thank God they wanted to work with me, was because of this Dell Women's Entrepreneur Network. So back in 2010, Dell, fundamentally at the top executive levels, they also believe if we're going to build a global sustainable future, it's going to be because of the entrepreneurs and the small business owners that do it. And the group inside of that that's really leading the way are all of the women. And they knew that we want to do more. We want to help understand, or we want to understand what is it that women need. How can we leverage the resources that made us successful as a Fortune 50? How can we fundamentally leverage those same resources to help the women of the world out there? And so in creating the Dell Women's Entrepreneur Network, they fundamentally brought together some of the top women CEOs and entrepreneurs around the world to come together both online and in person once a year to collaborate with each other and to collaborate also with Dell to really explore, how can we as a Fortune 50 again work with these women, work with these entrepreneurs who I like to think about it almost as I visualize nodes of women around the world who the way that women down in Haiti build successful companies and see themselves as leaders is very different than somebody here in the United States, for example. And what Dell gives, and the UN Foundation now too, gives us the opportunity to do is reach out and connect with all of these women at a global level. And I think what's really fascinating is that it's very easy to overcomplicate thinking about how do we use technology to actually build a company successfully or bring ourselves out of poverty. And the really interesting thing is because of the way that technology has evolved, you really don't need to know much at all about how to use technology in your own life. So I think that if you think about as simple as having a mobile device being your phone, or if you think about, okay, I've got access to a laptop, I have the ability to tap into the internet. Of course, we know about the cloud, we know about all the other applications, data mining, data analytics on the back end to help you understand your customers. There's all that stuff out there. But when you work with, in this case, a company like Dell, we've got something called the Dell Center for Entrepreneurs. It's at dell.com/entrepreneur. We welcome you in, but come into that network and we've got people there that you can sit with and explain what are you trying to do as an entrepreneur, but as a woman entrepreneur. Where are you trying to go? What are you trying to accomplish? We have one woman here, the CEO of Current Motor, as an example, that when Lauren Flanagan, that CEO, came to us, she said, here's my vision for my company. She was having an R&D issue that she was having a difficult time solving. We teamed up with Lauren and we were able to help solve this tech issue with her and help bring her to market 6 months faster. And I think any of those entrepreneurs out there, you know if you can get to market a day faster, it's a really big deal. So 6 months faster was wonderful. And I think, again, the point of all of this is you don't need to be an expert in technology. You don't need to be an expert in everything that's out there. All you need to know is where do I connect in? Who is somebody that can help me? And now we've created a way for people to be able to do that.
So on this past Friday was International Women's Day, and something called the Global Mom Relay launched, which was very excited. It's a platform to connect moms from all over the world to talk to each other about the issues they face, whether it's their children's health, maternal health, the things that they're going through. A topic that's already trending. Now, these could be a mom. We had a woman in South Sudan refugee camp who was being interviewed, which we're really excited about. And she's got a mobile phone, and then I have my BlackBerry, and I'm reading all these things. And the one question I keep seeing is, what technology is hurting you with your family, with your spouse, with your children? Is technology too much? So I want to, sometimes I feel like I'm in an affair with my BlackBerry. It takes away from my husband. But let me just ask, when is technology too much? Julie, especially with your corporate life, your family life, or is it not?
Well, I think to be able to be doing all these great things that we really couldn't do it without. And I think it would be a challenge for me to be in this role 20 years ago without the technology. It's really offered me personally the ability to seamlessly interact with teams, with people, with audiences, and has given me a voice. And I think that, yes, it's really tough to create those balances and put boundaries around your time. But I think that the greater good of it is that we have a voice. And so, I think that's when you weigh out the challenges, it's more important to be using it.
So Ingrid, tell me what is the next, this tough one, what's the next mobile phone? What's the next equalizer for women, do you think, in the tech space?
Oh my gosh.
Really easy question.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I don't know that there is a simple answer to that one. I do actually believe it is an affordable mobile phone. And there are mobile phones out there that are getting less and less expensive. So I think the key is going to be how do we build inexpensively but still give the same capability to tap into the applications. Because if you just have a mobile phone, there are lots of cheap mobile phones out there, but the point is not let me call somebody. The point is let me connect to the internet and let me be able to use applications that allow me to do commerce. And so I think that what I'm on the search for, actually, is what is the phone out there that is affordable, that allows me to have access to those mobile applications, that gives me the ability certainly to talk, but more importantly to access the internet. And I don't have that answer yet. I am looking at something that's being built outside the country, but it doesn't give you access to all the applications, so we're still on the hunt.
do you think mobiles will connect into what you're doing?
Yeah.
I mean, for example, I think you told me earlier there's 20,000 kits, rape kits here in the state of Texas even, that have not been tested. Will mobiles play a role in this and what you're thinking?
I think that it's possible, like if I created my wish list of how this could get solved, I would like to see DNA analyzation on a handheld. And I think if every hospital in the country had one, and we had speed and efficiency and the ability to investigate right on the spot, not 20, 30 years later, which is happening right now. The oldest kit that was found by Human Rights Watch goes back to 1979. And if we had these handheld DNA analyzers, I think it would be less expensive. So today it costs $1,200 to test a kit. If we can get it down to under $100, that would be a really big game changer for our safety.
I think an interesting parallel to that is how we're watching mobile phones absolutely increasing positive maternal health results, particularly in rural environments in sub-Saharan Africa, when a text message can go to a clinic that's maybe 20 meters away or 2 days away, and they can actually get a birthing attendant or a midwife out to someone, and the enormous difference that's making. Are there any other just quick examples, quick fire examples that you all can think of that you've seen globally or here in the U.S. where even a small intervention in technology like that is absolutely life-saving? Julie,
Yeah, I saw that in Bangladesh, and where a community health worker was getting text messages on health of mom when mom is pregnant, and it literally is saving lives just having that information in her palm. And the mobile is, it's global. You might not have a toilet, but you probably have a phone. So yeah, there's those kind of advances.
Ingrid?
Yeah, and I think, so my husband and I, we looked at, what area of the world, if we were able to solve the economic issue of women, or at least do our part, if we were able to create a success story there, we could translate it around the world. And that was down in Haiti, of course, after the earthquake. And what was so fascinating is that, again, the way that women see themselves as leaders and as providers down in Haiti is just, if you've never been there, you almost can't even imagine it. I mean, these are people that live on less than $3 a day, and that's considered pretty lucrative down there. And so, thank God, in teaming up with Dell, and I'm pointing over there because I see a number of my teammates here, my husband and I provided grants to 27 women entrepreneurs down there. And then Dell came back in and provided them the laptops. And for the majority of these women, it was the first time that the biggest issue for us became, now how do we actually get them on the internet?
My brother and I can't get my mother on the internet, so we'll talk about that later.
We can try to help, but yeah, moms are, God love my mom too. I hear you. But I think it's just been really fascinating to watch. We made the investment now. We're probably 5 months into it or so, and it's really fascinating to watch the women down there and how it is fundamentally transforming their lives. So, for example, one of the women, she owns a hair salon down there, and the way that she was getting customers into her salon was literally, she writes flyers on a piece of paper and goes around the little town outside of Port-au-Prince and would post it up and hope that somebody read it. Like, that's how she was building her business. Okay, now what she's doing now that she has access to the laptop, is we've teamed her with a mentor here in the States who's working with her on distributing her products, because she has unique hair products down there, and selling them into the States. You can imagine for a woman down in Haiti to now have that capability, it's enormous. And so we're really watching that very closely. What's gonna happen down there? What are we learning from that? And then how can we take that model and expand it around the world?
So we have time for one, maybe two questions. So let me just turn to the audience and see if you guys have a question. Yes, sir. Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is something that seems very daunting to try to, tackle, but I think because of the technology, because we have voices, that each voice now with social gives us a chance to be an advocate, to be a leader in social change. We saw in Ohio, the Steubenville case, that blew up because of social. Because the outrage in the community. And it's going to take each one of us to be outraged that this is happening. Because every time a perpetrator goes out and does it and isn't put into jail or go through due process, that leaves them to go and commit more crime. So, the average perpetrator between 7 and 1,000 offenses before they're ever caught. In Detroit, for example, they tested 600 kits out of their 11,000 backlogged. They got 22 repeat serial offenders that were already in the database. And one case was particularly shocking to me was a woman had her kit taken and years went by before it ever got tested. In the meantime, that man went out and killed 2 women. 2 women gone off the face of earth simply because of lack of will, that we just let this go. And we as in society need to be completely outraged. Every one of us needs to rise up and have a voice on this because it's our children, it's our safety, it's our mothers and daughters, friends. We have many women in this audience. A quarter of them have been sexually assaulted. 1 out of 6 men have been sexually assaulted. This is an epidemic, a global epidemic. We just, on Valentine's Day, had the UN 1 billion rising. Where 1 billion women in the world have been raped, beaten, or murdered. So this is where we have a voice now, that we're going to say this isn't okay anymore, and we're going to push forward and make sure that we test this.
So I think we agree that while women don't need saving, technology is wonderful and is helping us in all these areas. Due to our time, I unfortunately have to cut us off, but Julie Smolyansky of Lifeway Foods, Ingrid Vanderveldt of Dell, thank you guys so much. This is tremendous. I can't wait to see what the next equalizer is. Thank you.
Thank you.